Hey everyone, Shamrock here with another boss guide for you. This time I'm showing you how to do, or how I do rather, Azureblade in Azure Vault. This specifically is on a 23 Tyrannical. This fight, definitely not hard, but it can sneak up on you. And if you don't manage your cooldowns properly, you can find yourself falling behind pretty quick on the overwhelming power phases where she kind of stands in the middle and all the AoE damage comes out. It's also very easy to accidentally get hit by one of the balls that she's like kind of shooting out of her, and then die, and your team will probably die after you. So it requires a lot of concentration, I would say, and also kind of requires a little bit of group coordination. So unfortunately, one of the frustrating things I find about this fight is that because the adds during the overwhelming power phase are kind of spread out, sometimes a DPS will think that they're being smart by like going off to DPS one of the other ads that nobody else is DPSing. I don't know, I guess like it just mentally it makes sense to go and get them lower health, I guess, but realistically like it doesn't really matter which, if your DPS is going to be the same regardless, it doesn't matter like to go off and do one by itself. So it's better if the group just sticks together, and then does like one at a time. I even think this, I could be thinking of a different run, but we'll see in a second. I think this tank might even say like, hey, like stay together and start left, which is perfect. I mean, like that's favorite thing ever if a tank is going to say that. Yeah, so he even said, please go on the same ad and go left, which is perfect. I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm going to adapt that into doing this boss now. I'll probably say it in future runs, but it does make it a lot easier if everybody just kind of stays together, especially for our type of healing. But if somebody does go off by themselves, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure you focus them with some healing surges. But all right, so standard phase of the fight, really nothing difficult here at all. Just make sure that you and your group are focusing the ad when it comes out, and getting interrupts and stuns on it when necessary. I had a really good group for this run. They were able to just kind of go and do it without my help, but your interrupt and your DPS on that ad will help for groups that are a little bit slower. Okay, so first set, we didn't have Lust up for the beginning, so I just Lusted now, which really helped with the healing here, so I probably don't need much. I did pop Ancestral Guidance as well as Spirit Walkers. Because this fight is so long and there's such a long period of time between all these phases, I would suggest using Spirit Walker's Grace on pretty much every single set, and also Ancestral Guidance on every set that you can as well. And that should be enough to help get through at least the first section of it. And then you may have to pop one bigger cooldown as well if you find yourself falling behind. Like I said, because that set I had Lust, that was pretty easy, so all I had to do was pop Ancestral Guidance. But depending on your timing and how you're doing this dungeon and how fast you get here, you may or may not have Lust for that part. So just if you don't, you may have to spend a Healing Tide or a Ascendance. But like I said, this fight is super long, so anything you use on the first phase, you can pretty much guarantee it'll be up again by the third one. And if you get a fourth one, then you're likely not going to time the key, just because it adds like 2 minutes to your timer. For the arcane slashes, just be careful. Sometimes, like most tanks are pretty good at mitigating that, but sometimes you'll notice your tank will go down to like 10% health, so just make sure you're watching out for that. All right, here we go, second overwhelming power phase. All right, so you can see Spirit Walker's Grace is going to be up pretty quickly. I put a Healing Rain on the group as well as to get some damage on the ad, and I also popped Healing Tide here. So that's going to act as sort of like a nice buffer to keep everybody from dying while I focus on my regular healing. There I just popped Spirit Walker's Grace as we're moving along. And then I just popped Ascendance as well as a Nature Swiftness and a Chain Heal. So like I said, don't be stingy on your cooldowns here. This is a tough fight. There's a lot of damage going out, and as soon as somebody dies, you're just gonna, even if you have a B-res, you're gonna make it harder on yourself because this phase is gonna last a little bit longer. So make sure that you use your cooldowns. Obviously don't use every single one of them on one phase, but if you need to use 2, as well as some smaller cooldowns like Primordial Wave and Nature Swiftness, go for it. Just your goal is to keep people alive. You can handle the next phase when you get there. And because there's so long in between phases, like I said, you'll normally have some cooldowns up. Like everything you use on the first set will likely be up by the third or fourth set. So looking at what I have up available, I have my Trinket, my Racial, I have Ancestral Guidance, and I know I'm going to have Spirit Walker's Grace available again. So I can be pretty confident that I'm probably going to pop all of those for the next set. I also have Slink, which although not the best cooldown for this type of fight, as long as you get a few people in there, it's going to mitigate some damage for them, and it's just they're going to use each other as like a health equalizer. So it's better to pop than not. That being said, let's see if I actually felt the need to pop it. Right. Always good also to put a Cloudburst down going into this phase, and then once that Cloudburst pops, put another one down, because you definitely have time for 2 while you do this. Oh, we had a death there. I think somebody stood in a circle. Thankfully we had a B-res available, so we got them up. All right, there I just popped Nature's Swiftness with another Chain Heal. And so look, I probably don't even, yeah, there we go. And then I popped Slink at the end there just because, you know, why not? Just to be safe. There's no reason not to pop it, or not to not pop it. Yeah, no reason not to use it. All right, and that's it. So just, you know, be extra careful. Like I said, this fight requires a lot of focus, so you really don't want to get hit by the balls that are coming out of her, as well as every time one of those little ad dies, you're going to get some swirls on the ground. So just make sure you're like aware of when the ads are dying, and that will help you dodge those swirlies a little bit better, instead of just, you know, trying to go off reaction time. And like I said at the beginning of the fight, you may get a 4th phase. I guess it's not like 100% a dead key, depending on how fast you're doing everything else in this dungeon, but getting a 4th phase on this fight on Tyrannical sucks. It adds so much time to your timer, so just be careful with that. Anyways, I hope this was helpful for you. This fight, not so hard. You just, like I said, you just need to be liberal with your cooldowns. You know, don't be stingy with them. Make sure you make good use of Spirit Walker's Grace, and also your smaller cooldowns like Primordial Wave, Nature's Swiftness, and make sure you are popping pretty much you're using both Cloudburst totems during the AoE phases, because there's definitely time to use both. But yeah, other than that, if you want to, you can see I actually had a spell tracker at the top left there. So if you want to go back and sort of look at the video with no sound, or like, you know, focus watching that, you'll see exactly what I use for my spell rotation for each of the AoE phases. But anyways, good luck with this fight and any other fight, and yeah, I'll get more guides out soon. Thanks, guys.